Some traditions are so stable they begin to feel immune to change. Year after year, they repeat without question, without interruption, without explanation. And when one of those traditions shifts, silently, it is never accidental. This Christmas, something subtle is happening inside one of the British monarchy's most protected rituals. No announcement has been made, no reason has been offered, but behind the stillness, a deliberate decision has already been taken. And once you understand why, the meaning of tradition itself begins to change. For most of modern British history, the Sandringham Christmas Walk has stood as one of the monarchy's most dependable and carefully preserved rituals, a moment that returns each year with the same unspoken promise of continuity. Long before headlines are written or cameras are switched on, its significance is already understood. Year after year, with almost ritualistic precision, the royal family emerges from St. Mary Magdalene Church on Christmas morning, retracing a path that has been walked so many times it feels woven into the landscape itself. There are no surprises waiting in that moment, no variations designed to attract attention, no dramatic reinterpretations meant to signal change. The predictability is deliberate. Crowds gather patiently behind the barriers not because they expect anything new to unfold, but because they expect something deeply familiar. What draws them is not spectacle, but recognition. The walk is not designed to excite or entertain. It is designed to calm, to reassure, to offer a visual confirmation that certain things remain steady even as the world beyond the gates continues to shift. In its quiet simplicity, it tells a larger story, that the monarchy is still where it has always been, still moving to a rhythm far older than the modern news cycle, still repeating itself with a confidence that does not need explanation. The power of the moment lies precisely in that repetition, in the sense that tradition does not need to raise its voice to be felt. Parents bring their children to watch, lifting them onto shoulders or holding small hands as they wait behind the barriers. For those children, the moment becomes part of their earliest memories, not because anything extraordinary happens, but because it happens the same way every time. Years pass. Those children grow up, build lives of their own, and one day they return to the same spot, now guiding children of their own through the crowd. Faces in the audience change, generations quietly turn over, yet the scene before them remains remarkably intact. That constancy is not accidental. The structure does not shift. The route is the same. The timing is the same. The choreography remains measured, restrained, almost deliberately uneventful. And that is the point. Continuity here is not an abstract principle discussed in speeches or documents. It is something people can physically witness, something that unfolds in front of them year after year. It lives in repetition, in familiarity, in the reassurance that the framework endures even as individuals come and go. That is precisely why what Prince William and Princess Catherine are doing this year carries far greater significance than it appears at first glance. By now, it's tempting to think this is a minor adjustment, a harmless scheduling choice. But that assumption is exactly what makes this moment so revealing, because this decision wasn't made for the public, or the cameras, or the headlines. It was made for someone who cannot speak yet, cannot object yet, and cannot recover what is taken once it's gone. And that is where the real story begins. There has been no announcement to signal the change. No press release issued in advance, no carefully worded explanation about modernization or reform, and no attempt to frame the decision as a piece of symbolic progress. Publicly, everything appears unchanged. And yet, behind palace walls, it is now quietly understood that this year's Sandringham Christmas Walk will not follow the familiar script that has guided it for decades. The departure is not dramatic, nor is it intended to provoke discussion or controversy. It is measured, restrained, and intentional. The absence of spectacle is itself the message, a subtle indication that the choice was made with confidence rather than urgency. For decades, this particular ritual has been treated as untouchable, existing beyond debate or revision. Even as other royal traditions were subtly adjusted, gently softened, or quietly retired to reflect changing times, the Christmas walk remained firmly intact. It endured without alteration, protected by custom and by an unspoken agreement that some symbols were simply not to be disturbed. Senior aides long assumed it would outlast almost everything else, surviving well beyond shifts in public mood or internal restructuring. That is why the fact that William and Catherine were willing to reconsider it caused such quiet surprise among those who understand how rarely this specific line is crossed. Within royal circles, that willingness registered immediately, and that alone tells us something important. This is not the behavior of a couple unsure of their standing or hesitant about their influence. It is the behavior of a couple secure enough in their authority to use it thoughtfully without needing permission or applause. According to those close to the family, the decision to adjust the walk was driven not by strategy, optics, or public calculation, but by something far more fundamental: time. Christmas morning is not an abstract concept to Princess Catherine, nor is it merely a date marked by obligation. It is a lived memory, shaped long before royal duty reordered her calendar and imposed its rhythms. For her, it recalls a morning defined by pajamas still warm from sleep, by excitement that begins before dawn, by noise, laughter, and the quiet intimacy of family gathered together. Those early hours represent a rare space where childhood is unguarded and joy is uncomplicated, where the world has not yet intruded and nothing is being performed for anyone else. They are brief, almost weightless moments that exist only once. They do not repeat, and they cannot be reclaimed later. Once they are lost, they are gone for good. For years, Christmas morning at Sandringham has been shortened and reshaped for the Wales children, its natural rhythm interrupted almost as soon as it begins. The walk takes place shortly after they wake, which means preparation arrives before the day has had time to unfold. Wonder gives way to routine. Clothing is chosen, protocol is observed, composure is expected. The transition from sleep to ceremony happens with little space in between. In that process, the private magic of the morning is compressed to fit public expectation. What should be unhurried becomes measured. What should be intimate becomes structured. The experience shifts quickly from something lived to something represented, symbolic before it is personal, shaped less by childhood instinct than by the demands of visibility. This year, Catherine quietly said no. Not in public, not with defiance, and not in a way designed to draw attention. It was a firm decision made privately, without spectacle. According to a family friend, the princess expressed a long-held wish that her children should experience Christmas morning as children first, not as symbols of the crown or participants in a ritual they are too young to fully understand. She believed that the earliest hours of the day should belong to them, before they are shared with the public or claimed by expectation. This was not a sentimental gesture or an emotional indulgence. It was a deliberate and measured choice, rooted in foresight rather than nostalgia. A calculated act of protection intended to preserve something fragile and irreplaceable before it is slowly surrendered to duty. William supported her without hesitation. There was no need for persuasion, no extended discussion about optics or tradition. He understands, perhaps more deeply than anyone alive, the cost of growing up in an environment where ritual consistently overrides emotion. His own childhood was shaped by moments that belonged as much to the public as they did to him, and he carries a clear awareness of what that demands. He knows what it means to watch private moments dissolve under the weight of public obligation, and he knows how permanently those losses settle. Once taken, they are not returned. They cannot be revisited or repaired later in life. This is where the story expands beyond Christmas itself, moving from a seasonal decision into a broader statement about inheritance, memory, and the quiet consequences of duty. What William and Catherine are doing is redefining how tradition is transmitted, not questioning whether it should exist at all. They are making a careful distinction between duty and excess, between responsible stewardship and unnecessary sacrifice. The aim is not to weaken tradition, but to ensure it is carried forward in a way that remains sustainable and humane. Some of the changes being discussed are practical and logistical, small adjustments to timing, a softer schedule, and a less intrusive transition from private family time to public appearance. Others reach deeper, touching on philosophy rather than procedure. They reshape long-standing assumptions about what the monarchy is entitled to take from its youngest members, and about how much of childhood must be surrendered simply because it is visible. This matters because Prince George is no longer too young to notice what surrounds him. He is aware of patterns, expectations, and the weight that comes with being watched. Princess Charlotte, already observant and perceptive, takes in far more than she reveals, quietly registering the tone and structure of the world around her. Prince Louis, still small, is absorbing these rhythms with remarkable speed, learning through repetition what is expected long before he can articulate it. Their childhood is unfolding under constant observation, shaped by cameras, crowds, and inherited roles. William and Catherine understand that anonymity is not something they can offer their children. That door is already closed, but they can offer something else. Moments that are not surrendered by default, spaces of time that belong to their children first, before they are claimed by duty or expectation. The timing of this decision is also revealing. The past year has been emotionally demanding for the entire royal family, marked by a series of events that quietly shifted perspective. King Charles's ongoing treatment, Catherine's own health challenges earlier in the year, and a renewed public awareness of how much endurance the institution quietly demands have all contributed to a deeper reckoning. These experiences did not unfold in isolation. They accumulated, shaping how the family understands vulnerability, limits, and responsibility. Difficult years have a way of stripping away illusion. They narrow focus. They clarify what truly matters and what can no longer be postponed or taken for granted. Royal commentators have long observed that families who pass through periods of uncertainty often emerge more decisive about what they choose to protect. For the Prince and Princess of Wales, that instinct has taken a clear and deliberate form. Their priority has become the preservation of their children's inner lives, safeguarding the emotional ground on which those children will one day be expected to stand. This is not weakness. It is authority. The monarchy has never survived by being emotionally reckless or rigidly inflexible. Its longevity has always depended on balance, on a careful understanding of when to hold firm and when to adapt without drawing attention to the adaptation itself. Survival, in this institution, has never come from loud declarations or abrupt breaks, but from measured decisions made quietly and with confidence. William and Catherine are practicing exactly that form of leadership. They are not announcing change or inviting debate about it. They are normalizing it, allowing adjustment to occur without drama so that it becomes part of the structure rather than a challenge to it. This reflects a deeper confidence in their future roles within the institution. They are no longer simply waiting for responsibility to be passed down to them at some distant point. They are exercising it now in measured ways, quietly and carefully, without spectacle or announcement. Their authority is expressed through decisions rather than declarations. In many ways, that restraint may be the most traditional approach imaginable. It echoes a long-standing royal understanding that real leadership is not performed publicly, but practiced consistently, often beyond the view of the crowd. As Britain approaches Christmas, attention will once again turn to Sandringham. It always does, as it has for generations. People will watch closely for differences, scanning familiar images for signs of change. They will speculate about meaning, debate intention, and search for symbols when none are openly offered. That scrutiny is part of the ritual now as well, but what they may actually be witnessing is not the erosion of tradition, but its reinforcement. A tradition that continues to honor history, to respect the public, and to carry the weight of continuity, yet no longer insists that very young children surrender the most intimate hours of their lives as proof of duty. What endures is not diminished. It is refined, shaped to remain credible in the years ahead. Years from now, when Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis look back on their childhoods, They may not remember the barriers lining the walk or the crowds gathered beyond them. The cameras, the commentary, the distant voices of public expectation may fade entirely. Those details rarely linger in memory. What may remain instead is something far more formative and enduring. They may remember a Christmas morning that was not rushed, one allowed to unfold at its own pace. They may remember parents who were present, not divided between obligation and attention. And they may carry with them a quiet understanding learned early, that duty, even when inherited, does not have to erase joy or replace it. And when those children eventually step into the roles that history has already begun to assign them, they may do so with something previous generations were rarely given. Not just resilience shaped by endurance, but emotional strength rooted in care, security, and early protection. A steadiness formed quietly, long before responsibility fully arrives. It will not have been delivered through speeches or formal declarations, nor marked by visible disruption. It will have been built in private moments, preserved without announcement, and carried forward as something internal rather than imposed. If you want to understand how power truly moves, quietly, cautiously, and often without explanation, subscribe and turn on notifications. This is where we follow the decisions made off-stage, the moments history rarely highlights until much later, because the most important changes are almost never announced. They're noticed only after they've already reshaped everything.
protect. For the Prince and Princess of Wales, and when those children eventually step into the roles history has assigned them, they may do so with something previous generations were rarely given: emotional resilience rooted in